Podcast.
Bone Podcast.
Between you and me.
Between you and me.
Third time's a charm.
Yo.
All right.
So
check this out. So, this is quotes, what, 3.0?
Yeah, 3.0.
3.0. So, one of the things we talked about at the turn of the year was actually doing more quotes as well.
Right.
And
this is a fun ongoing series.
Yeah, fun ongoing series. So basically what I did was I sat back and I shot you like
20 quotes.
By 20, and it's funny because I say quotes on my phone all the time, and I'm just at May 2019. And so it's like I got a bunch more to go. But I shot you over a bunch of quotes, and I mean the thing that's fitting for the thing that's fitting for me is as you're getting ready to transition and go back to Hampton, for possibly the last time. There's some quotes that have come across my desk or my phone or however you want to put it that I think lend some very good advice. And so now I know you got them locked in your phone, but if we're going to talk about them, and if it's something like, say, chew up the fish and spit out the bones, if it's something that you don't feel like is applicable or something that just doesn't make sense, then we can say, all right, that's cool. We'll agree to disagree, and then you can delete it. But from time to time, when you have some time and you're off on your own, you can sit back and you can look at the quotes, and it can almost be like advice from dad. You know what I'm saying? That's why I was telling you from father to son.
That's why I
said from father to son. So from advice to dad. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through these quotes, right?
I just went through and counted all of them. There's 26 of them.
Oh, it's 26.
So
okay,
we might do 13 and 13 depending on how it goes.
All right, depends on how it goes. All right. And if not, man, I got 26 more I can send you stuff.
Sure.
But we're just going to talk about it. And, if you don't understand or if it's something you want to give me your insight into it, we can do that.
But you confirmed you like and agree with all of these.
Yeah, I like and agree with all of them.
All right.
And so
I'll let you know how I feel about that.
Let me know how you feel about them. All right. And so the first one, you ain't count. So I'm going to tell you anyway.
Because there's one and the other one. So you're 27. All right, go ahead.
All right. And it says, don't live the same year 75 times and call it a life.
I agree with that one.
Yeah.
That kind of goes with the card I just gave you.
Yep.
For your birthday.
Yep.
Did we talk about your birthday?
No, we didn't.
Okay, we'll have to.
Yeah, y'all shot me short on my birthday. It's all right. Yeah. Because I was going to do a birthday edition last week. We ain't doing last week.
Yeah, we didn't.
Yeah. And so, anyway.
Did we talk about doing a birthday edition?
I kind of mentioned it to you, but I mean, it doesn't matter. It's all good. Yeah, it got lost in the sauce.
But yes, I gave you the card. I can't remember exactly how the card stated it, but basically it was like in 365 days, it's basically new opportunity, like new chances to grow. And so now to the next 365 days of growth is basically what the card was talking about.
That's what it's all about.
But and that was even something that I commended you on as you got to your birthday.
Yep.
Still looking to do new ventures and experience new things, and life isn't on its way down; it's still on its way up.
I always believe you either growing or dying, bro, or either growing or dying. So I got to keep growing because I ain't ready to die just yet.
Right.
All
so
right.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
All right, cool.
Live the same year 75 times. Call it okay.
All right. The next one I'm gonna hit you up with this 3 simple rules in life, and I probably got a couple of them that reiterate this, but let's do it like this. 3 simple rules in life. If you do not go after what you want, you'll never have it.
Mm-hmm.
If you do not ask, the answer will always be no.
Mm-hmm.
If you do not step forward, you will always be in the same place.
Yeah. Those just kind of seem like universal truths.
They are universal truths.
There's not really much you can say to that. They're very apparent. If you don't do what it takes or make the next step or make the new decision, things will always be the way they were.
Right.
So,
and I probably got another couple of them that reiterate or reinforce this, but you're right. Like if there's no action behind the wheel, then there's no action. There will be no action. There it is. No action behind the wheel. There will be no action.
Reminds me of a tweet that I saw.
All right.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find the tweet. I ain't gonna lie.
Okay.
It might have been a minute.
Might have been.
Actually, I haven't done much Twitter recently. Keep talking. I'm gonna find it.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna find it as soon as you say something.
You probably will. That's how you always do me, but that's okay. The next one says, "Can you hear me and process it and look for Twitter at the same time?"
Yeah, of course.
All right, cool. You're not going to master the rest of your life in one day. Just relax. master the day, then just keep doing that every day. And we just talked about that a little bit this morning.
Mm.
You didn't hear me, did you?
That's funny because when you said the question, when you asked me if I had heard about it, maybe lose my train of thought based on what you said. But yes, we did talk about it a little bit this morning.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna find it
No.
because it's Twitter refreshed. You know how that be.
Twitter buried. So you're not going to master the rest of your life in one day.
Mm.
Just relax, master the day, then just keep doing that every day.
That reminds me of the Will Smith quote as well. How what you don't build basically just you don't know. Okay, paraphrasing. Basically, you don't build a house all at one time. You lay down each brick. You build it brick by brick.
Yes.
And so everything is one step at a time. Don't get overwhelmed by the big picture.
There it is. Don't get
Focus
overwhelmed.
on just doing this thing that will lead to this thing that will lead to this thing.
And they have a quote about that. Or how do you eat an elephant? And it's one bite at a time.
Right.
And so yeah. And so I think well,
how you build a house brick by brick.
It's two sides to that. The first side is you're right. Don't get overwhelmed. Right.
Mhm.
Don't get overwhelmed trying to swallow it all at one time. Don't get overwhelmed trying to do it all at one time. But the flip side of that is, but you got to get up every day and do something. Because if you don't get up every day and do something,
then the elephant gonna sit there.
It's gonna sit there. There you go. And so
I agree with that. Also, with that, I feel like there should be an element of trying to plan out how you eat said elephant.
Man, you know what? And I don't know if I sent you that one. That's a shame. Because I got a quote that I saw and I started to send it to you, and I'm not sure that I did. And it talked about planning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, man, oh God. And I know I can't even go back through and find it, but it said something like, a war has never been won by a plan.
Won by
It's never been won by a plan, but it's been lost by lack of planning. Something to that effect. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
I like that.
Yeah, it's like you don't necessarily when things hit the fan, you are not necessarily looking at a plan to execute.
Right.
But if you actually planned intrinsically, or
it's less of the difference isn't as big of a thing.
Yeah, because you're already in that mindset. Right, you've already gone through that process. Your mind's already set. You're not reading the plan, but you've already in your mind started the process. And so yeah, so that's kind of cool.
And what I was saying about kind of just, even if you can't plan everything to a T exactly how it's gonna go, even start the process with the inklings of a plan. Because if you just eat an elephant, which is probably a bad metaphor, if you just start building the house,
yeah,
you know, for my vegan folks out there, and you know, you start building the chimney, and you're like, oh, let's go do the windows. Oh, let's do this, let's do that. Then you don't really have any way of measuring how close you are to finishing that house. And so have some sort of plan so you kind of know where you are in your process.
Right. And it's funny, I'm going to give you a vegan joke because I know quite a few vegans, and they always give me a hard time. And I just saw one of them this morning. Not one of the vegans, but I just saw one of the jokes that I sent to the students about being vegan, and I want to try to find it real quick and read it to you, because when I read it, I just kind of chuckled a little bit. Here go one. It says, turning vegan would be a big mistake. Yeah. Oh man. See, look, man, when you try to find something, you can't find it.
You find everything else.
You find everything else, man. I just saw it this morning. But I saw it on my timeline. I'm looking for it from where I actually sent it out to the students. But it has something to do with paying back the cow that ate your grass. You didn't catch that?
Paying the cow that ate your grass?
Paying back the cow that ate your grass. So vegans eat, well, I say grass. It ain't necessarily grass, but vegetation.
Yeah,
and so me eating the cow is actually helping you out because they were eating up your grass.
I know you be talking about us, me and my mom. We be eating the salads and stuff. You saying we eating leaves?
Yes, sir. Yes,
which I mean, I can't refute that too much because they do just basically be leaves. But hey, it's healthy
if you say so.
So I'll wait till we get to that. I'm gonna go to the next quote.
Go ahead.
I was gonna skip the quote and go to another quote, but we'll go through the process.
There's no process. You can do it just how you want.
Yeah, it's whatever. I'm gonna go so I can keep track of it.
All right.
So, you can show up as imperfectly as you are and still have the ability to pull someone else through.
Yep.
Ain't nobody looking for you to have it all figured out. Just keep it real. Authenticity wins in the end. Marty Woodard. That one's interesting.
Is it? Tell me why.
We kind of talked about that one today too, which I think is why you ended up sending it, because we talked about something similar.
Yeah.
But just, it's not about being perfect. Really. Nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
That's even a thought that I've kind of had in the past.
And I can see how you can dispel that because you thought your dad was perfect all these years. I got it.
Uh-huh. Cool. But nobody really, well, I can't say nobody, but real connections are rarely made through like this aspect of perfection. And explaining that, diving deeper into that.
Yeah.
Usually when we feel connected to something, it's because of imperfect. Like a lot of times when you're talking about celebrities or people like actors, things of that nature, people see a person and see something that they see in themselves in that person. And so it's not that perfection, but it's that thing that makes you different.
Right.
It reminds me of another quote, which would be just paraphrasing, but basically your personality is the sum of your imperfect. If everybody was perfect, we'd all be the same.
Right.
So like your individualism is basically the sum of your imperfection.
Yeah, I like that.
So yes, I agree with that one as well. It's not about being perfect because people connect to you as a person, your similarities and your authenticity.
Right.
And that's what people glean from for help, not necessarily just someone being perfect.
So stop trying to wait till you're perfect in order to help people out.
Which is why I don't like Superman. This is a tangent.
It is.
Superman has got too many abilities. But I mean, I guess every comic book and movie has its ex machinas and all that type of stuff, but it's just too much ability. Where's your downfall?
Whereby Batman has no abilities.
Yeah. He's trash. He's the opposite.
What is it? Kryptonite is his downfall, man.
Yeah, but when that comes in, it's like an anti-ex machina.
Whatever.
Like, oh, Superman would just give everybody the hands, but Kryptonite. And like, how many times you gonna use the same thing to beat the guy? But yeah, but
metaphorically speaking, okay, whatever.
All right, but the next one was the one that I wanted to talk about.
Oh, hold on before you go there.
Okay.
All right, I found my quote.
Okay, go ahead.
And it says, "Dear vegans, I killed this cow because it was eating your food. You're welcome."
Mm-hmm. Who'd you send that to? One of your interns?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of eating, the next quote is, "Reality is an acquired taste," which I like that. I like that quote because I was just having a conversation with a friend last night, and we were just talking. Basically,
I knew you'd like that quote, by the way. Go ahead. Yeah.
We were talking about just the idea of disillusionment, which was like my word of the week last week. Ironically enough. But I was basically saying, well, if nothing else, life is interesting. And I guess you got to be thankful for that. You're looking at me weirdly.
I'm waiting on you to tell me.
Tell you what.
What that mean?
If nothing else, life is interesting. Because, I mean, life is all these ups and downs and ins and outs, and life is just weird. But at the end of the day, life's just interesting. I guess you got to be thankful for the fact that life is interesting. It's not so straightforward and rote and all of that. Like, life will throw you for a loop. And the loop may hurt, but I mean, I guess you can't say that life ain't interesting.
Right. Be like Truman, was it the Truman Show? Yeah.
Everything was too perfect.
Yeah.
It was looking for something else.
But
yeah, nothing else you could say life is interesting. And just this idea, even I was talking to you this morning about we're raised by society based on these ideals. And the only people that truly realize and get to benefit from those ideals are people that recognize the world for what it really is and act based on that.
Right.
And so we act based on like these ideas of what's right and what's fair that are just ideals that have been preached to us. that it's not really for us to actually achieve. It's for the people that take advantage of us acting in a certain way to achieve. That didn't make sense to you?
No.
So
Yes, it made sense to me because I understand what you're saying.
I'll talk about, I guess, something recent. I don't know if it made it to your sphere of influence.
Okay.
As far as you being an older person.
Am I older?
Than me, yeah.
Whatever. Go ahead, man.
But people in my age group, I guess, there's this big uproar in the midst of the pandemic and all that because of Jeff Bezos. And Jeff Bezos was about to become like a trillionaire in net worth. And people talking about how that's built off the backs of so many people and things like that of that nature. But we're taught certain ideals that, and this, my mind is so all over the place. I like quotes, and you just give me quotes that remind me of other quotes. I can't remember this guy's name or exactly what this quote is, but I can paraphrase it. But basically, he was saying, we're taught to be lamb, and you shouldn't be a lamb. You should become a lion and then learn how to control it.
Yes, I like it.
And so basically we're raised on these ideals that we're all lamb. And then you have people that see the world as it really is and they become lions and they get to live the ideals that the lambs are taught.
Got it.
It's basically what I was trying to say.
That makes sense.
And so when you talk about life as an acquired taste, it's kind of, you can get this sense of disillusionment when you recognize the world for reality instead of the ideals that are supposed to lull us to sleep.
Right.
And it was just, even I was talking to my friend about that last night. We're just like, disillusionment sucks, but in a sense, it's necessary to recognize things for what they really are.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I got a quote that's not really a quote, but it's a quote because it came from a movie. If everybody's super, then nobody's super.
Reminds me of another quote from Mortal Kombat. What is it? I'm gonna have to find it.
So yeah. So I mean, the thing about that is, I mean, and it's unfortunate that there are lambs, but if there were no lambs and there were all lions, lions would only be lambs.
Oh yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so unfortunately, there are people that will continue to live life in the ideal instead of stepping into the real. And that's the way I look at it. And that's something that was taught to me by a guy I used to work with. He was saying, you know, we like living in an ideal world when really what we need to do is wake up and live in the real world. And so that you know, and I actually, another quote, something I didn't send you that I found this morning that I sent out to a group of students, and it talked about how I'm no longer interested in basically training the uninitiated. I only want to train the initiated.
Right.
Because the truth about the matter is they're going to always be uninitiated folk. And you have to live with the fact that there are always going to be people who are uninitiated.
And by that, do you mean like people that lack initiative?
Well,
what do you mean by uninitiated?
You can say lack initiative. People that just want to live in an ideal world. People that don't want, because the more you try to talk, like if you got common sense ain't common. So like if you got the keys to the kingdom, right? Somebody going to question the door you're asking them to open. It's like, but you know, I just came out of that door. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna always have people that doubt it, and it's gonna be doubt based upon, you know, maybe how they feel about themselves and inferiority complex. It could be based upon the fact that somebody told them that you can't do this and they don't want to do it. Right. And you can burn a lot of energy trying to convince people that are
ready to receive.
Right. Like Harriet Tubman, man, said, I saved a whole lot of slaves and I would have saved a whole lot more if they knew they were slaves. You know what I'm saying? It's that same mindset. It's like, we have to get out of the habit. First of all, I'm in a place in my life where I realize that I have to allow people to be themselves, right? Like I have to allow you to be yourself. Younger in life, I guess we have a savior complex or a hero complex, and we feel like we can save everybody. You know what I'm saying? And so I had to get to a point in my life.
Huh? You don't want to be saved.
There you go. And so that's the thing. It's like
I said that's J. Cole.
I just got to a place in my life where I realized everybody don't want to be saved, and I'll kill myself trying to save those who don't want to be saved. So that's uninitiated. Go ahead.
So I found a quote from Johnny Cage, Mortal Kombat.
Okay, get over here. I'm sorry. Go
ahead. Yeah. But basically, what he's like a movie star.
Mm-hmm.
But this quote is, "Hungry people eat lunch." Dang it, it went away as I started reading. All right. "Hungry people eat lunch. Humble people serve.
Hungry people eat lunch.
Humble people serve
Humble
it."
people serve
And
it.
so that kind of plays into that whole the lamb versus the lion thing,
Mm-hmm.
which that's a little intense on that side. But just the idea of we're raised on ideals, and then people take advantage of those ideals
Yeah.
based
Okay.
on
Gotcha. That yeah.
reframing their understanding.
It hit me a couple different ways when you said it. Because I
It's
was thinking
like,
you want to be the humble person, but it's like,
right,
no, you're
but
gonna
it's like
starve.
people tell you to be humble and like, oh, don't overpress. You can't, beggars can't be choosers, things like that.
Yeah.
It's like the hungry people are eating, the humble people are serving.
And that comes with so many layers, and then not
I
something
agree
we
with that.
came to discuss, man. But like,
That takes you down a whole different thought process.
yeah, man. Because from an African American perspective, we always taught to be humble. We always taught to,
Right.
look out for our fellow Americans, look out for our fellow humans,
Mhm.
and we never get looked out for. And they busy eating while we humble. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And they don't even
'Cause
give us morsels. Go
You
ahead.
don't reach like a Jeff Bezos level of always being humble and fancy.
Nah, man.
and
You gotta not care about people to do
right.
it. You know what I'm
And
saying?
so those are the people that live like, oh, if you do the American dream, anybody can come anything. People take advantage of the way that other people are taught to react to that.
Right, right, right. And I think the people that are most at peace, the people that are most at peace are those people who realize that what Jeff Bezos has is really a chain and not freedom.
Doesn't sound necessary.
You know what I'm saying? It's a chain and not freedom. And so it's yeah,
Yeah, life is interesting.
life
It's
isn't.
basically how you sum it up. Reality is an acquired taste.
Yes, reality is an acquired taste. All right. So a person who has nothing to lose will help you lose everything you ever worked for. Choose your company wisely. I just said this to some interns last week.
Mm-hmm.
Real talk. A person who has nothing to lose will help you lose everything you ever worked for.
Mm-hmm.
Choose your company wisely.
And probably won't even do it on purpose.
No, they'll do it on purpose.
Some people.
Well,
I just talk to the perspective like, oh, you may have a friend and like that's your friend, but your friend is out wilding out and they wanted to do this and oh, let's break this rule or do things like this because they don't really have anything to lose. They're willing to accept the consequence because that consequence isn't detrimental to them, whereas it might be detrimental to you, and so you be going along with them, and they might not even intentionally be doing things, but it's just the consequence affects two people differently.
it's funny you'd say it that way, and I agree 100% with what you said, with the exception of one word,
Okay.
friend.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Because the truth of the matter is,
It might not be a stretching friend.
no, friend at all, friend indeed. I mean, because here's the thing. Like I could just tell you about me growing up, right? Me growing up adjacent to the hood. My wife always tell me I didn't grow up in the hood, so growing up adjacent to the hood, I had a lot of guys that I used to be around that used to do some crazy things, and some of those guys would allow me to do crazy things with them, and others would be like, "Bro, nah, you sit over there and keep your hands clean. We got this."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so I can even remember vividly. I'm gonna give a plug to somebody who would never listen to our podcast, but because of the level of respect I have for what he did, even in the wrongness that it was. His name is Carl Watts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Carl Watts was he went to school with me, and we were at a high school, and this dude wanted to fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Carl came to me, and he whispered in my ear. He said, "Bro, I don't want you to fight. Throw the first punch and step out of the way." And that was his whole thing, because we got this. Because he didn't want me to get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one thing I could say, that, like, you got to be cognizant not only of yourself, but those people that you're dragging into the fight.
Right.
And if you're not at that level of mentality, I don't think you can really say you are a friend to people.
Right.
All right?
You did it for yourself.
You did it for yourself. And so that's the thing. It's like, oh man, I realize that if I do this, I might be okay. But if T get caught up, you got to be thinking like that. You got if you don't have the ability to think about that, you don't have the ability to be a friend, because it's all about self preservation and whatever.
This reminds me of another J. Cole fan.
Go ahead, man.
That song. I'm a J. Cole fan.
I see.
Y'all can't tell, but I mean, I don't have to go into it. But January 28th.
All right. Cool.
If you know, you know.
And I don't, but that's okay. We'll talk about it
All
later.
right. Well, I can go into
No,
it.
you don't have to go into it. Go ahead.
Okay. The next one. Growth doesn't come when you are in your comfort zone. Progress isn't made when you are complacent. To get ahead, you got to get in over your head. I like that.
Yeah, bro. I like that one too, man.
That's
I figured that
solid.
one would resonate with you.
So I like the wordplay of it.
Yep.
To get ahead, you got to get in over your head.
Right. To get ahead, you got to get in over your head.
I mean, when you just float and you don't learn how to swim.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. That's another one of those real versus ideal things because as parents, we want to teach we want to keep our kids away from dangerous is such a hard word. We want to keep our kids safe, right? We want to keep our kids comfortable. We don't want our kids to experience stress or strife. But in so doing, what we're actually doing is
teaching them not know how to swim.
Right. I want to use a word that could be taken as being controversial. So I'm gonna tell you when I use this word, I'm using this word from a textbook perspective. We retard our kids. We hold our kids back. And so the thing is for me, and I can't tell anybody else how to raise their kids, but the thing is for me, I want to see you fumble and falter while you're under my watch care.
Mm-hmm.
Because that way we can assess it and move on. Assess it, grow, and move on. But if I'm protecting you as much as possible while you're at home and not letting you get yourself into testy situations, and the first time you get in those situations is once you get to college. You know what I'm saying? Or once you get out in the world. And then I'm not there to help you, and you're too embarrassed or too afraid to tell me so that I can help you. We do our kids a disservice.
All right. And just even going along with the, I guess, the illustration of to get ahead, you got to get in over your head.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's easy to want to be the flotation device
Right.
for your kids.
Right.
But it's like if your head never goes underwater, you never learn how to stay above it.
There you go.
And so if it comes to a time in everybody's life where you lose that flotation, you don't have your parents protect you anymore or whatever it is, or you remove yourself from a situation where other people can help you, but you do that based on your understanding of what life was like with a flotation device.
There you go. Yep.
And now that you don't have one, you don't know how to swim.
You have no, you're fish in water, not out of water. I mean, you just don't know. There's nothing you can't even relate,
right?
Because you have so long been so comfortable because everybody kept life comfortable for you,
right?
Oh yeah.
Like one step at a time. Add an inch of water, slowly build it up.
Help drown your kid. Like, it's funny. It's funny because,
don't quote that one.
But in corporate America, one of the things, like this is one of the standard things they say, right? Like, it's, what is it?
Swamped.
No, it's like, dang, man. It's like, sink or swim. It's like,
sink or swim.
Yeah, it's like sink or swim. Like,
drown.
Yeah, we just gonna throw you in. We gonna throw you in the deep end. I can't think of the term now, man. Since I'm so far at corporate America, I had it before I said corporate America. But it's like
sink or swim is
trial by fire.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's like oh no, there's no transition period for you. We just gonna throw you out there and see if you're gonna do it. I'm sorry, my bad, man. But we just gonna throw you out there to see if you're gonna do it. And so that's it's how it is in corporate America. And so just might as well help your kids to get there quicker sooner rather than later. Anyway.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Which is even funny because that's one of the arguments. Because I was on the podcast with Pip. We were talking about HBCU versus PWC. PWI. PWC. I was thinking Prince William County. But PWI is that the coddling versus being thrown into it, which is interesting. I thought that was an interesting subject. Because everybody has to go through trial by fire, sink or swim at some point. It's just about when you do it. And so I just thought that was an interesting idea, even talking about sink or swim.
Yeah, but it's funny, man, because like I definitely want to get into this now, but I venture to say so many people ain't ever gotta swim on their own. We just don't have the resources to make it that way. So anyway.
Facts. on Knives Only or Knives Out.
Yeah, Knives Out.
Put it on
Knives
there.
Out. There you go. There you go.
All right, so the next one. Ideas don't make you rich. The correct execution of ideas does. I agree with that as well. This keeps reminding me of this Twitter quote that I can't find. But basically, the person was saying, that's where it is. All right, go ahead. I can find it now. I remember what it is.
Okay. Well, I'll go back to the Knives Out. I mean, where Knives Out that came from? The one before. If you haven't seen Knives Out, I've seen it a couple times, and we just had the opportunity to see it a couple days ago. And the premise of it was this patriarch, this old man, took care of his whole family, right? And like gave the oldest, he gave her first $1 million to start a company, and so everybody got to the point where they were actually dependent on him. I mean, like he even had a son who died, and he was taking care of
the spouse,
the spouse of the son,
the widow of the son,
the widow of the son.
Just all these people are under his covering.
Yeah, all these people under his covering, and as a final, and I'm hoping you've seen it if you want to watch it.
Nah,
if you
don't
haven't
spoil
seen
it.
I'm about to spoil it.
Nah, don't spoil it.
Okay, I won't spoil it. No, I spoil it.
Don't spoil it.
I won't spoil the whole thing, but I just tell this.
I mean, everything's important.
Well, come on, man. I got to tell this point because I started down this road. You're supposed to be looking for a quote.
You didn't find a way to do it without spoiling.
I can't. Anyway, just realize that
can
he
they
was
make
calling
it?
them. He was
Can they make it without his covering?
Without his covering. There you
premise.
go. And so he was calling them. And the question you would ask is, could they make it without it? So, yeah.
Right.
Are you ready now while you interrupted me while I was trying to tell my story?
Nah, but you can go to the next quote as I find this one.
This dude right here, man. Y'all know who he is. So the next one says, you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality.
You can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. I agree with that.
Yeah.
The bill comes due.
The bill comes due.
A quote that came from a conversation on this podcast.
Yes,
the
it was.
bill always comes due.
The bill always comes due. And it kind of goes back to that real and ideal. It's like you can ignore let's see what say. You can ignore reality. You can pretend like reality doesn't exist, but that's not going to stop you from suffering the consequences of that reality that you're trying to ignore. The fire hot. You can ignore the fact that those red flames and the smoke coming off of there is heat, but when you touch it, it's not gonna do you much good.
Right.
Am I still waiting on you, man?
Just keep going. I'll find it eventually. I'm still in the conversation.
Are you?
Yeah.
All right. So the next one says, some of the best advice I've been given, and I like some of the best advice I've been given. Don't take criticism from people you would never go to for advice.
Say that again.
Some of the best advice I've been given.
Uh-huh.
Don't take criticism from people you would never go to for advice.
Interesting. Facts. I agree with that one.
Do you?
That's a good one.
All right.
How old is Morgan Freeman?
I don't know.
I was about to look that up this morning.
Okay.
But I didn't have my phone on me. Interesting.
So yeah,
He probably didn't even say that.
He probably didn't.
They just
got a
used his
picture of him
picture.
there. Yeah.
But I agree with that one.
Yeah.
Everybody has something to say.
Everybody got something to say. That's one thing you can get for no cost.
But not everybody. Yeah, 2 cents is always free.
It's always free. It's always free. Right? But if you're not gonna go to them for advice, I mean, if you're not gonna go to them of sound mind and body to seek their wisdom on something, why are you gonna take their what do you call it, the peanut gallery view on it?
Right.
You know? So yeah. So I'm down with that 100%. Don't take criticism from people you would never go to for advice. And so for the people that's listening out there, if somebody always criticizing you, but you know that they aren't an expert in that field, like
don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
And you know, and don't even get upset with them. Don't get mad at them. Don't get stressed about them. Hey, you know what? As a matter of fact, thank them for giving you the advice.
Everything's just information.
It's just information. Chew up the fish and spit out the bones. That's how I started in the beginning. I mean, just chew up the fish and spit out the bones. Don't get mad because somebody want to tell you something erroneous. Hey, everything's a gift. You determine whether you want to open the gift, whether you want to re-gift the gift, or whether you want to throw the gift in the trash can. But it's a gift. And it was free. Take it.
All right, so I found the quote.
He found the quote.
But I'm not going to say it now because I'm sure it will come relevant again within this conversation.
You might want to screenshot it then so you ain't got to go look for it. Okay.
I realized that I didn't see it on Twitter. I saw it on a video of someone looking at Twitter.
No.
And so I had to go through the video to find it.
All right, cool.
But the next one is make sure the choices you make are worth the losses you'll take. Yeah. It's the best that can happen. What's the worst that can happen?
Yes.
That's fundamental. We've been saying that.
Yeah.
I'll say you've been saying that.
Thank you. That's one of the things I've always tried to drum in your head. Every decision you need to look at what's the best thing that can happen and what's the worst thing that can happen. And make sure that you can deal with the worst thing that can happen if you decide to pursue it.
All right. Trying to 8, 9, 10.
11.
Okay. We on 11. All right. Procrastination is an arrogant assumption that God will give you another opportunity to do tomorrow what He anointed you to do today. We could have had a conversation about that in devotion.
We sure did. We sure
talking
did.
about the chick at the register. I can't even.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That was from Mother's Devotion.
Yes, it was.
Mm-hmm. Good story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with that. We talk about all that type of thing a lot. The opportunity of the lifetime
Must take place in the lifetime of the opportunity. Indeed.
Take advantage of the time that you're given.
That's right.
And don't expect everything to just still be available.
I actually wrote a quote. I wrote a blog about this years ago. It's called "It's a Crack in Your Window." And basically, when you see the crack in your window, you gotta get through that crack because it's not gonna always be there, and you don't want that window opportunity to shut on you, and you've missed it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I just went through the rest of the quotes. I skimmed through to see if it was gonna come back up again, but it wasn't.
Okay.
All right, so this is based off of the ideas don't make you rich, the correct execution of ideas does.
Mm-hmm.
And so what this tweet said was, all of my plans for the future involve me waking up tomorrow with a sudden sense of discipline and adherence to routine that I have never displayed even once in my life.
Wow, send me that.
And I feel like that's the way a lot of people live life. Because when I read it, I was like, dang, that's interesting. I didn't know. Because like I get a glimpse of that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dang, if you want to do it, you got to start doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know if that was like a prevalent thought for people.
I mean, it's probably something I drilled into you. Because I've always said that, like, you're not just going to wake up tomorrow and want to be different than you are today. It just doesn't happen that way. I mean, like, honestly, and I'll tell you, what's his name? Anthony. I can't. Big time motivational coach.
Okay. I don't know.
The guy that stayed on the cliff that you liked, the house. I can't believe I can't remember this guy's name. But anyway,
Mackey.
No, man, no, not Anthony Mackie. But one of the things that he always said was, when being the way you are hurts more than change, you'll change. Right? When being the way you are hurts more than change, you'll change. And so that's one of the things that kind of is articulated in that. It's you're not gonna. I mean, like, there's nothing normal that's gonna wake you up tomorrow and make you want to be somebody different than you are today. Mm-hmm. If you wake up tomorrow and who you are is so painful that you see a way out that costs you less pain, then you'll change. And so that's why I've always tried to even tell you, like, T, come on, man, don't think one day you're gonna wake up and want to keep your house clean. Or T, don't wake up one day and think you're going to want to go out and make money. Or T, don't wake up one day. I used to always tell you that kind of stuff because I wanted you to realize that you had to make a decision today. And I do have a quote in there that's something similar to this, but you have to make a decision today to be different today. You can't wait till tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah.
Is it Anthony Robbins?
Anthony Robbins, there you go. That's him. That's him, Anthony Robbins. When the way you are hurts more than change, you'll change. And so, that, I mean, for the listening audience, you just think about that. I mean, really digest that.
The whole kind of, you got to get in over your head.
Yep.
Don't be lackadaisical. Mm-hmm. Laissez-faire.
And because at the end of the day, this was all about. What it's all about is growth, right? Mm-hmm. And like, I saw another quote that I didn't send you, had something to do with the caterpillar and the butterfly never looks at the caterpillar and think about the pain it went through coming out of the cocoon. Right. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like all of these things. And so, real and ideal. It's interesting because if you think about it from that perspective, like, ideally, we wouldn't want to experience pain.
Right.
But if you live in that ideal world, you'll never become anything of great value.
Yeah. Everybody wants to be the best, but no one wants to put the work in.
There you go. Everybody wants to be the best, but nobody wants to put the work in. And so, that again, and I guess we're gonna cut it off halfway. I mean, we at But that was about 13, but we'll probably hit about 17 or 18 on them, actually.
Right. We can do one more after this
We
one.
can do one more? Okay.
I
So,
think. Let's see how good this next one is.
um,
Yeah, I like this last one.
all right, cool. So the thing is, I mean, I would like for you, T, to hear and understand, and anybody else in the listening audience to hear and understand. It's like you got to move beyond your comfort zone. Like, you know, the way things, the way you were yesterday that made you successful may not be the same thing to help you be successful tomorrow. And I even think about when we start.
Awesome.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I even think about like when I look at when I think about how reality TV came about, or like now, here's a funny thing: like YouTube is reality TV on steroids. Well, not on steroids. I wouldn't say that. YouTube is more
Reality
of a
TV that's
realistic
real.
reality TV. You know what I'm saying? It's more of a realistic reality TV because reality TV came about when and this is my remembrance of it. There was an Actors Guild strike decades ago, and because actors didn't want to work, they had these, you know, normal everyday Joes supposedly that they started developing these shows around. And I remember like
Because we started moving away from the sitcom.
yeah, we started moving away from sitcoms, right? And like Survivor, I think was one of the very first ones, right? But then you find out these people who are in these shows are all aspiring actors, and so they're people who hadn't cut it to make it to the big screen. So they went out on these reality shows, and now these reality
Now
shows,
reality shows are more popular, so
yeah, and they are more popular and they're more scripted. So
right, they're way more scripted.
From that perspective,
now it's basically just acting.
Right, it's just acting. And so from that perspective,
They said it for some reason they always choose for it to be bad acting. That's a whole nother story.
it's the camera angles, man. It's the camera angles. But anyway, but the point is, so even that and that's I was going to the YouTube thing. So even that is a strategy. When I'm saying you can't expect to be successful with the same strategy tomorrow that you were successful with yesterday. Even from that perspective in reality TVs, I think that YouTube and YouTube stars and influencers are taking over. Even so much so that that's where advertisers are not spending a whole large part of their budget.
Social media is huge.
Yeah. So
social media is really what's been taking us into the future. That's
it really is.
That's the current phenomenon.
It is. And I mean, once you get into it, it's much more palatable. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, you can skip through the crap. You know what I'm saying?
When you learn how to work your own algorithm.
Yeah, when you learn how to work your own algorithm, yes. I want to learn how to clear my cache on it, but on your account, not mine. But anyway.
All right, so the next one.
No, you had a thought about that.
Oh yeah, I had a thought. Oh, it goes along with these two.
Okay, go ahead.
So, this next, and I guess the final quote was, "In the end, we only regret the chances we didn't take, relationships we were afraid to have, and the decisions we waited too long to make."
That's a good one to finish on. Go ahead.
Right, that's what I was like. Oh, we can do this one. So I'm bringing it back full circle. J. Cole. We're gonna talk about J. Cole again.
January 28th.
Yeah, but not this J. Cole. A different J. Cole. The same person, but
okay, all right.
A different perspective, a different story. And so he just recently released an album called The Off Season, and there was a mini doc that came out like 15 minutes. It was about 15 minutes long, but it was a mini documentary talking about the off season and basically what the purpose or what the meaning behind the off season was. Short paraphrasing his career, basically he came up, he was making mixtapes, and his mixtapes were like, he had the come up, the warm up, sideline story. So he had like this big theme with basketball. And the reason for that was because he was a walk-on in basketball in college, things of that nature. He played basketball when he was younger, and he wanted to be a basketball player, basically. And so when he was explaining the idea of the offseason, he was saying before, he was telling the story, he was at a party, and he was like, he was inebriated.
Inebriated? Drunk?
Inebriated.
All right.
Yes. And he was basically saying he walked outside and his friends came outside and basically had an intervention. It was like a small intervention. But it's like, you out here partying and doing stuff with us, you want to be the best in the rap game. And he had this realization that he wanted to be a basketball player, but he didn't make the cut. He wasn't good to be a basketball player because he didn't put in the right amount of work. He said he used to be at the blacktop, doing moves like he was Iverson or something, when there's people that was in the gym putting up 1,000 shots a day. And those are the people that went on to play in the NBA. Just being on the blacktop, copying moves that you see on TV isn't what it takes to make to that level. And so you have the realization, like, do I want to be the same way in this rap game? Do I want to look back and be like, I never made it because I didn't put the work in? And so he started putting the work in. I appreciate it. He started he'd wake up, write every day, stuff like that, and go to the studio, things of that nature, just putting in the work, getting the reps in, basically, so that he could achieve that. And eventually, that's how he ended up achieving that. And then full circle, he ended up playing professional basketball as well, which is cool. But just that whole idea of you don't want to have regrets, so put in the work now. Take advantage of the opportunities now. And so that was the whole idea of the offseason. I'm grinding, I'm working like it's the offseason. So I'm coming back with my next best stuff, my best for myself the next season when the season starts.
And the interesting thing about that is that it simply is grind applied to a different area.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's that characteristic of grinding that we need to take on and perfect. Because if you take on that characteristic, then you can put your hand at just about anything and be successful.
Right. It's all, which we kind of I kind of talked about this a little bit this morning because it stemmed from the conversation I had last night. But it's all about understanding yourself, being able to reflect and have accountability for who you are and the characteristics of yourself, and take all of that energy and apply it to one thing. And that's how you make the movement in that thing.
Right.
I put all my energy from like my ego or my arrogance or wanting to be extroverted and go out and talk to people and party. Take all that energy and focus it in on, I'm about to accomplish this one thing. And when you get a control of yourself, that's how you're able to achieve a goal.
Yeah.
And so that was just really interesting to me because I think, it might have been the last, it was a recent podcast, but I was just talking about why I became interested in basketball because I thought it was a great visual representation of work ethic and hard work. And so seeing that, you got to put up 1,000 shots, but in the perspective of what you're trying to do. So write 1,000 verses or whatever. So put in that work, get in the gym.
Yep, get in the gym. All right, so I'm gonna cover this because, and then I'm gonna say something about this one and why I thought I was like, I want to share this because it was a slight. It was actually I was throwing a grenade. In the end, we only regret the chance we didn't take, the relationship we were afraid to have. That's why I stuck there, man. I was like, dude, going on his senior year, he about to go back on campus. Man, don't regret
not having a relationship.
Yeah.
Is that what you was gonna say?
Yeah.
If you want me to have relations, just say that.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. It said relationships.
Oh, okay.
It said relationships, not relations.
Oh,
relationship. Right. But I just want you to, seize the day, seize the moment. If you see her, say something.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Sure.
Cool. Bum podcast. Between you and me.
Part 2 coming soon. Next week, I guess.
I guess next week. Part 2 coming soon.
But, all right. Holla.